أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما نافعا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Reflections on the Risale-i Nur by Bediuzzaman Said Nursi podcast series. In this episode, inshallah, we are going to continue reading the first word from where we left in the previous episode. If you can quickly try to remember, the first word is about Bismillah. Basmala, Bismillah, in the name of God. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of God, the merciful, the mercy giver, or the merciful, the compassionate, as it is also translated. It is about what a powerful force this phrase is. It is about the fact that this phrase, Bismillah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, is a token of Islam. And it is about this phrase also being the constant litany of everything in creation. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Evet, bu kelime öyle mübarek bir definedir ki, senin nihayetsiz aczin ve fakrın, seni nihayetsiz kudrete, rahmete Rab edip, Kadir-i Rahim'in dergahında aczi, fakrı en makbul bir şefaatçi yapar. Evet, bu kelime ile hareket eden o adama benzer ki, askere kaydolur, devlet namına hareket eder, hiçbir kimseden pervası kalmaz, kanun namına, devlet namına der, her işi yapar, her şeye karşı dayanır. Yes, this phrase is such a blessed treasure that with it your infinite impotence, powerlessness, and neediness turn into a most accepted intercessor at the court of the compassionate, all-powerful one, Qadir Rahim, and it connects you, or they connect you, your powerlessness and neediness connect you to infinite power and mercy. So at first hearing, this might sound like a contradiction, right? Your powerlessness and your neediness is where your power rests. Our powerlessness and our neediness is where our power, where our value and worth rest. Why and how? Because when we are aware of our powerlessness and neediness, when we acknowledge it, we are given the ability to connect to the court of the compassionate, all-powerful one, who has infinite power and mercy. The secret here is in the acknowledgement. And Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is a mark of that acknowledgement. Yes, one who acts with this phrase resembles a man who enrolls in the army and acts in the name of the state. For those who listen to the first section of the first word, the first episode, on the first word, you will remember that in the introduction to the first 8 words, Ustad Nursi says that because you are from the military, I am going to tell these realities to you with parables of a military nature. or parables that are related to military concepts. Here it comes. The first metaphor, the first parable in this first word was about the desert, and how one who travels in the desert, the Bedouin deserts, would need to obtain the name and protection of a tribal chief in order to escape from troubles and in order to procure his or her needs. Right? Now we have a second parable that is about a man who enrolls in the army. So a parable of a military nature. Yes, one who acts with this phrase resembles a man who enrolls in the army and acts in the name of the state. He does not fear anyone anymore. He says, in the name of the law, in the name of the state, he takes care of everything and persists against all odds. A single man is a single man. If the single man went to a village, he may be welcome in the village, he may not be welcome in the village. He will not be able to convince or coerce the villagers to listen to him, to take care of his needs, to follow his orders, to protect him against other enemies that might be coming to the village. Right? He is a single man. All he can obtain depends on the personal relationship that he may or may not build with the villagers. But if this person goes to the village as a soldier who is on duty, who is charged to do something and who has a mission and who is commissioned to do it, representing the state, and this village belongs to that state, and the villagers recognize the signs of the state and the power of the state, then this man is not a single man anymore. This man is the representative of the state and acts with the power of the state. Right? So, yes, one who acts with this phrase, which phrase? Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, resembles a man who enrolls in the army and acts in the name of the state. So by saying Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim and meaning it, we acknowledge that we are in the army of a state, or if you come to the reality of this, we are slaves, servants of an all-powerful one. We are slaves and servants of an all-powerful one, and we are acting. In that case, we are acting with his power. We don't have any power at all, but we are acting with his power. Başta demiştik, bütün mevcudat lisan hal ile Bismillah der, öyle mi? Now, the important thing here, of course, is that the villagers need to recognize the state itself. If the villagers don't recognize the state, the soldier will not be able to go to the village and act in the name of the state and have the villagers follow him easily, without a problem. The villagers will say, no, we don't recognize your state. Who are you? We don't listen to you. We don't follow you. If they recognize the state, they will say, okay, we follow you. You came from the power that we already recognized. Right? So at the beginning we said everything recites Bismillah constantly with the tongue of their dispositions. Is that so? If everything in the creation recites Bismillah with the tongue of their dispositions, that means that they too are enrolled in the army. They too are servants and slaves of the all-powerful one, and they are going to follow his command and the command of those who act on his behalf. Is that so? Evet. Nasıl ki görsen bir tek adam geldi, bütün şehir ahalisini cebren bir yere sevk etti ve cebren işlerde çalıştırdı. Yakinen bilirsin, o adam kendi namıyla, kendi kuvvetiyle hareket etmiyor. Belki o bir askerdir. devlet namına hareket eder. Bir padişah kuvvetine istinad eder. Indeed, it is so. If you witness a single person come to a town, then compel all of its inhabitants gather in a particular location and labor in various tasks, you know with certainty that this person is not acting in his own name or through his own power. Perhaps he is a soldier. Or not perhaps. The word in Turkish is belki, and in modern Turkish it means perhaps, but in Bediuzzaman Said Nursi's usage, it usually is certainly, right? Certainly, he is a soldier. He acts in the name of the state. He relies on a king's power, right? He came to the city, you're observing, we are observing. He came to the city, he said one thing, everybody is following. He is, as a single person, he is able to compel everybody to follow his orders. Then we know that this person is recognized here as the representative of a higher power, the state. He acts in the name of the state. He acts in the name of a king that everybody have already submitted to. Öyle de her şey Cenab-ı Hakk'ın namına hareket eder ki zerrecikler gibi tohumlar, çekirdekler başlarında koca ağaçları taşıyor, dağ gibi yükleri kaldırıyorlar. Similarly, in the same way, everything acts in the name of the supreme reality, Cenab-ı Hak. And this is how atom-like small seeds carry huge trees on their heads and bear mountain-like loads. Think of the seed of a fig tree, a tiny dot, right? But what comes out of that tiny dot? A giant, and they can be really big, a giant fig tree from the tiny dot. How so? How so? Everything acts in the name of the supreme reality, Cenab-ı Hak, God. This is how atom-like small seeds carry huge trees on their heads and bear mountain-like loads. Demek her bir ağaç Bismillah der. Hazine-i rahmet meyvelerinden ellerini dolduruyor, bizlere tablacılık ediyor. In that case, each tree says Bismillah, fills its hands with fruits from the treasury of divine mercy and offers them to us like a tray bearer. This is a really nice metaphor, especially in the spring or summer when you see the trees bloom or start to give their fruits. If you observe the tree and if you think that the tree is a tray bearer, it is offering these blessings to me from the treasure of God, from the, it's extending its hands to the treasury of God, and its hands are then filled with these fruits, and then it's extending it to me. As the fruits grow, they become heavier, and the tree branches start to bend down. Right? It's extending its hands to me. Her bir bostan Bismillah der. Matbaha-i kudretten bir kazan olur ki çeşit çeşit pek çok muhtelif leziz taamlar içinde beraber pişiriliyor. Now another metaphor, another observation. Each garden says Bismillah and becomes a cauldron in the kitchen of divine power. Qudra is the word here. Kudret, or Arabic kudra. A variety of foods, each with a different taste, cook in it, in that cauldron, together. Right? There is a kitchen out there, the entire surface of the face of the earth, like a cauldron, and a variety of foods cook in it. How? With divine power. This is the kitchen of divine power. The face of the earth is the kitchen of divine power. Her bir inek, deve, koyun, keçi gibi mübarek hayvanlar Bismillah der, rahmet feyzinden bir süt çeşmesi olur. Bizlere Rezzak namına en latif, en nazif, ab-ı hayat gibi bir gıdayı takdim ediyorlar. Her bir nebat ve ağaç ve otların ipek gibi yumuşak kök ve damarları Bismillah der. All blessed animals such as cows, camels, sheep, and goats say Bismillah. They become milk fountains originating from the abundance of or overpouring of divine mercy. They present us a most delicate and pure food. They present us a most delicate and pure food like water of life in the name of the provider, Ar-Razzaq. Right? They are not giving it on their name, on their own behalf. They are not even aware. They are not even aware that they are giving us milk. They don't have control on the production of the milk. They feel hunger. They have a compulsive soul that is inclined to food. They eat the food. God takes care of the rest. They don't have control over their digestion. They don't have control over the nutrition passing through the intestines to the bloodstream. They don't have control over that nutrition then accumulating in the udder and being processed to become milk. They do not do that consciously. They are not aware of what is going on beyond the food that they are inclined to eat. Though they are still producing it in the name of the all-provider, Ar-Razzaq. He is the provider, God. Her bir nebat ve ağaç ve otların ipek gibi yumuşak kök ve damarları Bismillah der, sert olan taş ve toprağı deler geçer. Allah namına, Rahman namına der, her şey ona musahhar olur. This is also interesting. The silk-like soft roots and rootlets of every plant, tree, and herb say Bismillah. Think of the roots of think of the roots of a mint. They can really spread around. When those roots, and rather rootlets, are first forming, think of it, it's such a hair-like tiny string. If you try to dig the soil where it is going to be spreading, you would have to use a lot of force, especially if the soil is dry. You would have to use tools. But that tiny hair-like string pushes through the earth and spreads under the ground. Biologists are going to give you explanations about this, and they are amazing too. It has to do with the power of the cells to absorb water and then expand, and that is an enormous power, right? But again, that is not being consciously done by any of the materials that are involved in the process. The cell has the power to absorb the water. There is no conscience in that. There is no consciousness in that. There is no awareness in that. There is no control over it by the cell or the mint plant. The water has the power to, push when it is absorbed into the cell. No. There is someone who is taking care of this. The silk-like soft roots and rootlets of every plant, tree, and herb say Bismillah. They pierce and grow through hard rock and earth. In my childhood, the playground, the yard of my school, was covered with asphalt. When the school was in session, the asphalt would remain as asphalt. But in the summer, when the students were not running over it every day, I would see this passing by and I would be amazed. There was this ferocious thorny plant that would break through the asphalt all over and grow on it. Can you imagine yourself taking one of the thorns, because that's the hardest part of the plant, taking a thorn from one of those plants and trying to dig the asphalt? It's impossible. The thorn will break and the asphalt won't move. Nothing will happen to the asphalt. But these plants broke through the asphalt and grew all over it. They pierce and grow through hard rock and earth. Why? How? They say in the name of God. Now, at the beginning we said, they say Bismillah with the tongue of their disposition, not with utterance. They are not uttering things, or if they are uttering things, we don't hear it, but we know that they are saying Bismillah in the name of God with the tongue of their disposition. This is their disposition. If we go back to the example of the cell expanding by absorbing water, the absorbing of water by the cell is the disposition, tongue of disposition of the cell. And that's how it is saying Bismillah in the name of God. In the name of the most merciful, in the name of Ar-Rahman. Why Ar-Rahman? We will come to that. That's a somewhat lengthy and very interesting, very illuminating, insightful topic that is going to come up here briefly here in the first word. But then after the first word, Bediuzzaman Said Nursi included a short treatise from another of his books between the first and the second words. That's the from the 14th flash. We will read that, and it's an amazing subject. Evet, havada dalların intişarı ve meyve vermesi gibi o sert taş ve topraktaki köklerin kemali suhuletle intişar etmesi ve yer altında yemiş vermesi, hem şiddeti hararete karşı aylarca nazik yeşil yaprakların yaş kalması, tabiiyyunun ağzına şiddetle tokat vuruyor, kör olası gözüne parmağını sokuyor ve diyor ki, en güvendiğin salabet ve hararet dahi emir tahtında hareket ediyorlar. Yes, the spreading of roots in hard rock and earth with perfect ease, and the growth of bulbs and tubers from them, similar to the spreading of branches in the air, and the growth of fruits at their tips, or the retention of moisture in tender green leaves for months, despite intense heat, deal a slap on the mouths of naturalists. Naturalists, we can think of this as an extension of positivism, a philosophical current, and eventually a belief system that developed after the Enlightenment, with obviously with precedents in earlier history, but especially after the Enlightenment. And when we think of positivism, what it somewhat crudely means is that you believe in what you see, or you believe in what you can observe with your five senses, or you accept, not necessarily believe, but you accept and you base your knowledge and information on what you can see or sense with your five senses. And if there's any idea, any concept, there's any notion, any possibility out there that you cannot observe to verify or disprove with your five senses, that's not your concern. You don't believe in it, you don't think about it, you don't evaluate it, you don't judge about it. That's not your concern. So it rejects, let's say, things that we can intuit or figure out with the intellect. right? Intellect can only, according to this philosophical current, intellect is there only to help you, process what you can observe with the five senses, but not beyond that. Naturalist or naturalism, beyond that, is born out of the observation of the nature that is around us, and it ends up attributing power to nature. And at the point that it attributes power to nature, it becomes a philosophy, not only a process of observation, but also a philosophy. And it is, unfortunately, it is very subtly hidden in our language today all over. It's in our school books, it's in our conversation speeches, even some of the most devout believers in Islam or any religion, who know that real power belongs to God and all power needs to be attributed to God, are going to fall in this trap and say things like, especially when it becomes somewhat literary, Mother Nature did this. This is not what the nature is telling us. The nature is telling us that we should sleep at night and wake up in the morning and go out and do exercise. The nature is telling us that we should do exercise. Yes, there are messages in the nature, in the interaction of things in this universe, that is, there are signs, let's put it this way, there are signs in the functioning of the creation. But the creation itself is not capable of producing those messages, intending those messages, right? The signs are hidden in the creation by the Creator. But when we do not acknowledge this fully and full-heartedly, what happens is nature becomes the notion of nature, the laws of nature, like the gravity. Why is the apple falling? Because there is gravity and there is the law of gravity. But what is it? What is the law of gravity? Who legislated that law, right? When we think without this awareness that power belongs to God, and if there are causes and effects that we are observing in the nature are caused by the causer of all causes, when we neglect this stage in our thinking, we end up using the nature, the notion of the nature, as a veil before God's power. And to some extent it is meant to be like that. The causes are meant to be a veil before God's tremendousness. Because if we were directly exposed to that tremendousness, we would not be able to handle it. And then there are other wisdoms in this. There is we are in this world for trial, and the trial would be lifted because everything would be obvious in the hereafter, in the Jannah, in the paradise, inshallah. And may God protect us in the hell. We will see that. We will see everything directly issuing from the power of God. Everything is issuing from God's power here too, but because we would not be able to handle it, and because the wisdom of trial in this were to separate those who are true believers, who are good, from those who are not believers, who are bad, would be lifted. The causes are what people sometimes call laws of nature, are legislated by the created, by the creator into the creation. What some people call laws of nature are legislated into the creation. But the naturalist denies that. The naturalist attributes power to the creation, to this abstract concept that does not have a reality to it, called nature. It attributes power to this abstract concept. So Bediuzzaman is saying here, yes, the spreading of roots in hard rock and earth with perfect ease, and the growth of bulbs and tubers from them, similar to the spreading of branches in the air and the growth of fruits at their tips, or the retention of moisture in tender green leaves for months, despite intense heat, deal a slap on the mouths of naturalists. They jab a finger in their eyes and say, here, even rigidity and heat, two qualities that you rely on most, act under command. Kör olası gözüne parmağını sokuyor ve diyor ki, en güvendiğin salabet ve hararet dahi emir tahtında hareket ediyorlar ki, o ipek gibi yumuşak damarlar, birer asayı Musa aleyhisselam gibi فَقُلْنَا ضَرِبْ بِعَسَاكَ الْحَجَرِ emrine imtisal ederek taşları şak eder. فَقُلْ نَاضْرِبْ بِعَسَاكَ الْحَجَرِ emrine imtisal ederek taşları şak eder. They jab a finger in their eyes and say, in the eyes of the naturalists, and say, here, even rigidity and heat, two qualities that you rely on most, act under command, by relying on the divine order of فَقُلْ نَاضْرِبْ بِعَسَاكَ الْحَجَرِ strike the rock with your staff. And this, of course, is from a verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Qur'an, verse 60. I have a translation of the entire verse here. I'm going to read that. Again, remember when Moses alayhi on an occasion when his people were without water in the desert, besieged water for his people. So we told him, strike the rock with your staff. As soon as he struck, there gushed forth from it 12 springs. Each tribe knew their drinking place. Eat and drink of that which God has provided, and do not go about acting wickedly on earth, causing disorder and corruption. Bediuzzaman here is making an analogy between the staff of Moses alayhi salam, with which he struck the earth and water gushed from it, between that and those roots and rootlets, right? Those silk-like soft rootlets split rocks as if they are staffs of Moses alayhi salam. And those paper-thin delicate leaves recite the verse, Ya naru kuni bardan wa salama. Well, let me read the Turkish of this first. Ve o sigara kağıdı gibi ince nazenin yapraklar birer azay İbrahim aleyhisselam gibi ateş saçan hararete karşı Ya naru kuni bardan ve salama ayetini okuyorlar. And those paper-thin delicate leaves, remember he said leaves retain the retention of moisture by the leaves in the summer, and those paper-thin delicate leaves recite the verse Ya naru kuni bardan wa salama. O fire, be cool and peaceful. And this is from the verse from the Surah Al-Anbiya in the Qur'an, the 21st chapter of the Qur'an, and the 69th verse. The verse, a translation of the verse, the whole verse is, we ordered, O fire, be cool and peaceful for Abraham. And this, of course, is when Nimrod could not overcome Ibrahim alayhi salam, through negotiation, through debate, and decided to throw him into a fire, and they built this huge fire and threw him into the fire, and then Gabriel alayhi salam came to him as he was flying in the air and said, "Do you want help?" And Ibrahim alayhi salam told Jibril alayhi salam, "Does my Lord hear me?" And he said, "Yes." Does my Lord see me? Is my Lord seeing me? And Jibril alayhi salam says, "Yes." And Ibrahim alayhi salam then says, "In that case, I don't want your help. He is seeing me. He will take care of me." Such reliance on God. And God orders the fire to be cool and peaceful, and fire becomes cool and peaceful. It was probably one of the best places ever for any human being to ever be. So it was God who ordered fire to be cool and peaceful. It is God who orders fire, the heat, not to damage the leaves. It is God who empowers the leaves to retain moisture. And again, of course, there are mechanisms through which this is happening. That does not invalidate what we are saying here. We are not naturalists. We see the conscious act behind these mechanisms. We see that the agents of these mechanisms are not agents per se. There is a causer of all causes. There is one who creates nature too. Yes. Madem her şey manen Bismillah der, Allah namına Allah'ın nimetlerini getirip bizlere veriyorlar. Biz dahi Bismillah demeliyiz. Allah namına vermeliyiz. Allah namına almalıyız. Öyle ise Allah namına vermeyen gafil insanlardan almamalıyız. So from this ontological observation, from an observation about the reality of existence, Bediuzzaman is deriving a moral, to some extent even legal, but moral, ethical, especially, ruling. He's saying, since all things say Bismillah metaphysically, manan, right, again, they are not uttering Bismillah, Bismillah, but they are saying this with the tongue of their disposition. They are expressing a meaning with the tongue of their disposition, and that's why we are saying manan. Manan in Turkish and also in Arabic comes from the word ma'na, which means meaning, and then this then opens the gates of a whole world of concepts. We will translate it as metaphysically, sometimes as spiritually, but the original word is manan, which refers to meanings. And here might be a place to clarify this. If it again think of the example of the tongue of disposition, these plants, the animals who are giving us milk, the tiny seeds that are carrying loads of trees on their heads, they are not uttering Bismillah. At least they are not uttering Bismillah as we hear it. There are angels that are appointed to each and every one of these things, and those angels may be uttering Bismillah. That's a separate subject. Inshallah, we will come to that too later on. But the physical object itself, as far as we can see, is not uttering Bismillah. It is saying Bismillah with the tongue of its disposition. It is expressing the meaning of Bismillah with the tongue of its disposition, and therefore we are saying that it is saying Bismillah ma'anan, in meaning. And we will translate that as metaphysically, because the word ma'anan is usually contrasted with the word maddan, which means physical. We will go with the contrast and use metaphysically to translate it. And sometimes again we will use spiritually. Since all things say Bismillah metaphysically, manan, since they all deliver the blessings of God to us in the name of God, right? Everything is delivering the blessings to us. Remember at the beginning, we are needy, we need lots of things. We need food, we need air, we need water, we need clothing, we need heat, we need comfort, we need the company of the beautiful things in the nature, we need beauty, we need sunlight, we need moisture in the air, we need a lot of things, and the entire creation around us, in a sense, is subdued to us. They are providing all of these things to us, but they are not providing themselves. They are delivering the blessings of God to us in the name of God. If they are delivering in the name of God, we need to receive it with the due proper etiquette, with the proper attitude. What is that attitude? We too should say Bismillah. We should give in the name of God. We should follow the order in the universe. We should give in the name of God. We should receive in the name of God. And here is the moral ruling. And we should not take from heedless people who give not in the name of God. We should not place our expectations on people who do not give in the name of God, because they are heedless, and we do not want to be involved in their heedlessness. If it is darura, if it is dire circumstances, dire necessity, yes, we can take. But we should be careful about this. This is something that we usually do not think about. We interact, we go out into the marketplace, we go out into the world, and we interact with people without giving much thought to whether they are following this universal order or not, whether they are giving what they are giving to us in the name of God. If they are not giving in the name of God, they are giving in the name of something else. At the least, if we have to take, we should say Bismillah while taking, and acknowledge what they are failing to acknowledge. Sual: tablacı hükmünde olan insanlara bir fiyat veriyoruz. Acaba asıl mal sahibi olan Allah ne fiyat istiyor? Question: we give a price to people who deliver God's blessings to us like tray bearers. When we go to the store, we pick a loaf of bread from the shelf. We go to the salesperson, owner of the store, and we say we want to take this, and they say, okay, give me money, give me the price. We give them money, and we take the bread. At the least, we say thank you. We go to the cashier. The cashier may not be the owner of the store, therefore we do not give the money to the cashier, we give it to the store. But even then, although the cashier is not the person who is selling the bread to us, even then we say thank you. I mean, of course, if we are a decent person, we say thank you. So we give a price to people who deliver God's blessings to us. But that bread that the store owner, we are going to say this in quotation marks, owned, right? He actually does not own it. The true owner is somebody else. The true owner is God, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we give a prize to the metaphorical owner. The metaphorical owner of bread. Then, should we not give something to the true owner? What is the prize that he wants, God wants, the real owner wants from us? Cevap, el-cevap. Evet, o mün'im-i hakiki bizden o kıymetdar nimetlere, mallara bedel istediği fiyat ise 3 şeydir. Biri zikir, biri şükür, biri fikirdir. Yes, the prize that the true bestower of blessings, mün'im-i hakiki, wants from us for those precious blessings and goods is 3 things. So this is something that we should all not memorize, we should all internalize. And it is a really beautiful summary of our responsibility as a slave of God. It's a really beautiful summary of ubudiyya. Ubudiyya or ubudiyat in Turkish. Our taking a position of slavehood, servanthood before God. It's a beautiful summary of our slavehood before God. What is it? Zikr, dhikr in Arabic. Dhikr, that is remembrance of God. Second, shukr, thankfulness or gratitude. And third, fikr, reflection, contemplating the blessings of God. Başta Bismillah zikirdir. Bismillah, saying Bismillah at the beginning is remembrance. Again, I have my cup of tea here. I'm taking a sip. Saying Bismillah before I take it is remembering that this is God's blessing to me. I remember, I acknowledge, I'm now aware of it. I have the consciousness that this is God's blessing to me. Ahirde elhamdülillah şükürdür. Alhamdulillah, all praise is to God. At the end is thankfulness, gratitude. And then what do we do when we finish eating something or drinking something, or when we finish consuming any of God's blessings, or when we find ourselves surrounded with God's blessings, what do we say? We say, Alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks is to God. Okay, there are two words out there, hamd and shukr. Hamd is praise and thankfulness, and shukr is gratitude and thankfulness. Ortada bu kıymetdar harika-i sanat olan nimetler, Ehad-ı Samed'in mucize-i kudreti ve hediye-i rahmeti olduğunu düşünmek ve derk etmek fikirdir. This is a very loaded word, and the section we will read from the 14th flash, the second station of the 14th flash, after we finish the first word, is going to expand, open this up for us. And comprehending through contemplation in the middle, this is fikr, contemplation, reflection, comprehending through contemplation in the middle that these precious blessings as wonderful works of art are the eternally besought singular ones, Ahad Samed, miracles of power and gifts of mercy, is reflection. Now this is what Bediuzzaman Said Nursi is going to constantly work on and on and on, and ingrain in his readers. Contemplation. In the middle, that these precious blessings are one, wonderful works of art, and two, they are blessings of Ahad Samad. They are miracles of his power, the power of the eternal besought singular ones. They are miracles of his power. An apple that grows on an apple tree is not just a natural thing. If we are going to use the word natural to mean ordinary, no, it is not ordinary. It is a miracle of power. Without that power, it would not be, period. Now, it is also a gift of mercy. I need all of these things. He is giving them to me. He does not have to give them to me. God does not have to give me anything. It is His mercy. It is His mercy that, in a sense, intercedes for us, and He wills to give them to us. Now, when Bediuzzaman Said Nursi, Ustad Nursi, uses in words, as we said before, he is very precise, very to the point, very economical. And this especially applies to his use of the names and attributes of God. Wherever and whenever he uses a name and attribute of God, it perfectly fits the context and expands the context for us. It makes it more meaningful and understandable for us. And here he is using the names Ahad and Samad, right? It is translated as, eternally besought for Samad, and the singular one for Ahad. But these are words that are impossible to translate completely. These are loaded words. We need to learn them, and we need to understand their meanings, and we can use these translations as kind of shortcuts to them, but we should, as we progress in our journey of learning and knowing God, learning about and knowing God, we should learn these names in their originals and try to accumulate the loads and loads and loads of meaning that are packed in those words, in our understanding, in our comprehension. So Ahad means one, a singular one. There is none like Him. He is not one of many, but He is the one and only. And then, as I said, the second station of the 14th flash is going to expand this for us. And Samad, think of the Bedouin Arabs in the desert. There are very few resources. It's a very stringent way of life, a very Spartan way of life, and everybody needs something, and everything needs to be procured on a daily basis. But sometimes there would be a person who was really wealthy, well blessed, and this person would not need anything because he had everything, and he had more than what he needed of everything. Therefore, everybody would or could go to him and ask for things. So Samad is the word that describes this person. And then when we use it for God, what it means is the one who needs nothing and everything is in need of. Right? So, and comprehending through contemplation in the middle that these precious blessings as wonderful works of art are the eternally besought singular ones, Ahad Samad's miracles of power and gifts of mercy, is reflection. That is our job, that is our duty, that is the quintessential function, requirement of our slavehood. Bismillah at the beginning, dhikr, we need to remember. If we don't remember, we cannot start contemplating, right? But it is the contemplation that ingrains Bismillah and that makes our remembrance meaningful, because we need to know what we are remembering. Shukr or hamd at the end is thankfulness, right? But that too needs to be with contemplation. We need to be aware of what we are thanking for. It's not just the utterance of Alhamdulillah, it is the meaning of Alhamdulillah, and the meaning becomes deeper and deeper, expands with contemplation. Bir padişahın kıymetdar bir hediyesini sana getiren bir miskin adamın ayağını öpüp hediye sahibini tanımamak ne derece belahet ise, öyle de zahiri münimleri medih ve muhabbet edip münimi hakikiyi unutmak ondan 1000 derece daha belahettir. You know how foolish it would be to kiss the feet of a powerless man for delivering a king's gifts to you, but failing to acknowledge the king as the actual owner and source of those gifts. Clearly, it would be 1,000 times more foolish to praise and show devotion to the ostensible bearers of blessings while remaining heedless to their true bestower, al-Mun'im al-Hakiki, Mun'im Hakiki. Now, this does not mean that do not thank the person who brings the king's gifts to you. No, thank the man who brings the gifts to you. Acknowledge the tree that extends its hands to the treasury of the all provider, to the treasury of mercy, takes the fruits from there and delivers them to you. Acknowledge the tree as the medium, as a deliverer, and give it its due. Water it, prune it, protect it from pests, not preferably not with pesticides, but protect it from pests. Take care of it, love it in the name of God. So give it its due, but acknowledge the king. Do not remain heedless to the Mun'imi Hakiki, to the true bestower. Do not think of the tree as the bestower. Do not go out and thank the tree. Do not limit your gratitude to the tree, because then the tree becomes your Lord. You devote and spend your entire life taking care of the tree and not thinking of anything else. Do not think of the world as your bestower. If I do, I think of the world as my true bestower, as my Lord. The world becomes my Lord and I become a slave to the world. Whereas the world is created to procure my needs, it is subdued to me through the power of the all-powerful one. So the difference is becoming a slave of the world and becoming a slave of God, and therefore enjoying the world in His name. Ey nefis! Böyle ebleh olmamak istersen Allah namına ver, Allah namına al, Allah namına başla, Allah namına işle, vesselam. O the compulsive soul, if you do not want to be such a fool, give in the name of God, receive in the name of God, begin in the name of God, and act in the name of God, and that is it. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.